doing a long distance hike and then like living in a car, it really gives you a different perspective on things.
Hello and welcome to the Extraordinary Shoe Store, the podcast where we walk a mile in the extraordinary shoes of ordinary people. I'm your host, Josh.
I'm your host, Paul.
And I'm Andrew.
All right, cool. And we have a guest here today. Tell us about yourself. What's your name? What is up with you?
My name is Alan. I live out of my van, and I'm unemployed because of COVID right now. So I'm chilling real hard. And you know, there are worse places to be, and I feel pretty fortunate that I've managed to get myself into this situation, because I know some people right now are having a really hard time.
Right, no kid.
How are you talking to us right now? Like, do you have Wi-Fi in your van?
No. So, guess depends on how much backstory you want to get into. But I was working in Portland, Oregon, and lost my job. I grew up in Southern California, but COVID isn't really the best down there right now. So I decided to drive down through Nevada and Eastern Oregon to get to the east side of California, where I've spent quite a bit of time. And I am near Bishop, California, but not actually in Bishop. And there is a public Wi-Fi community center thing, and I'm just parked outside on the street in my van, connected to their free Wi-Fi.
Oh, there you
Oh,
go.
nice.
So
It works.
making it work.
That's right. Well, we appreciate you going to those lengths to do this with us.
Oh yeah, no problem. I know I've been a little bit hard to get a hold of, but whenever I'm not here, I don't have service and I don't have Wi-Fi, so.
Right.
It's all good.
Yeah, you haven't actually been the worst at all. Like, we had another person we were trying to get on, and they rescheduled like 10 times before they actually were like, okay, I'm gonna come on, and then they just kind of ghosted me and quit replying.
Oh dang.
Yeah.
I'm sure they had access to
No, I
Wi-Fi
mean-
too, so you're a mile ahead of them.
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty open schedule-wise, so I don't really have a whole lot going on, so it's pretty easy for me to fit stuff in.
There you go.
I
What
can
type
relate
of van
to
are
that,
you?
too.
Oh, yes, yeah. So what type of van are you going around in right now?
I'm in a 2004 Honda Odyssey.
Oh, nice.
It's definitely not your tricked out Sprinter van, but it
Right.
works.
That's right. Gets the job done.
Before that, I lived in a 1999 Toyota Camry for 9 months over a Portland winter, and that was definitely rough.
Yeah,
Right, I
I can
bet.
imagine.
But
Oh yeah, Camry isn't that roomy.
no, it's definitely not. I was sleeping in the
Yeah.
back seat. I didn't build it out, didn't take anything out. I just slept in the back.
So how did you stay warm during that time? What was your strategy?
I backpack a lot. So I have like camping stuff and hiking stuff, so I can keep myself pretty warm at night for sure. So that wasn't.
Nice.
But I was working a full-time job at an ad agency, and I was just like, fuck this, I'm not paying rent. I hate it.
Right.
My car. I was just sick of it.
Yeah, I've always thought about like living out of a car. Like, what I wonder. I don't know. I've always wanted to try it. You know what I mean? I've wanted to sleep in a car. I didn't know what it would be like.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good for people to know that they can do it. And I would always recommend people to have a car that you could sleep in if you had to, even if you're just on a long drive, just to make your life easy. But
Oh yeah.
I guess my mentality, and my parents freaked. They weren't happy about it, but whatever.
Right.
I guess like my mentality towards a lot of things is that it's always a lot easier to get things than to get rid of them. just like mentally, it's really hard for people to let go of stuff. And if you think about like your physiology, even the way your muscles work, almost all of our strong muscles are made to grab things. Like our hands are made to grab, our arms are made to pull. So it's like we don't have an easy time getting rid of stuff. But the thing that I tried to explain to people who knew what I was doing was I can live in my car for a week, and if I don't like it, I can go on Craigslist and find a place to rent or find somewhere to rent or live really easily. But it's really hard to get rid of things that you don't want or that you don't need. So I guess in my mind, it wasn't really that big of a commitment. And if it ever didn't work out, I had a backup plan and I knew I could find somewhere pretty easily if I wanted to pay for it.
Do you know how they get water from how you get water from a monkey? Do you know how? Do you know how? What you do is you dig a hole and you put like a little treat in there, and the monkey will go over to the hole and he'll grab the treat, but you make it so the monkey can't pull the treat out of the hole, and he'll grab onto the treat, but he can't let it go. Like there's too dumb to let go of things, like literally. And what you can do is the monkey will get like really thirsty, as you can imagine, because he's just like sitting there holding on to a thing. And what you can do, you actually put him on a leash and tie him to a tree, and then you like make him really thirsty, and then he'll lead you to water.
Interesting.
But
I don't know where you heard that fact. That is pretty amazing.
I actually watched a video of it happening. Like it really stuck with me. I'm like, if I ever find a monkey, I know how to get the water.
Right.
But
so I guess
the reason I was saying that, was because you can't let go. Like the monkey, like we're kind of like monkeys in a way, and they can't let go of things we can't let go either.
That's a good point.
Maybe there's some
people just have a hard time letting go of stuff.
Right. Maybe there's some deeper biological reasoning behind that then, rather than just.
I mean, it's just an idea, but
right.
it wouldn't be.
I think it's true. Well, especially in our consumerist culture we're in now.
Yeah.
People
I mean, like you are a product of your surroundings and capabilities. So.
Absolutely.
Surprised me if there was like a deeper cause to that.
Right. Now, living out of your van, I wonder, do you, I know I'm vaguely familiar with kind of like the lifestyle of like traveling on the go. Do you ever like run into like other people doing similar things? Like, do you have like interactions with those types of people, or do you just kind of, is it more of like a soloing sort of journey?
I mean, right now it's definitely a solo thing.
Right.
I try and not really, I actually helped my girlfriend build out a Toyota Corolla and like hanging out together. But other than that, I mean, like I haven't been in a store in weeks. Like
no kidding.
Like months of food. I have tons of water. So like I really don't talk to people if I don't have to right now. But normally, I mean, it's super cool to meet other people and see other people's vans or cars or what their setup is. But right now, that's not something I personally am interested in.
Right.
But
yeah. Yeah, I've actually always I've noticed that especially if you go out to maybe a rougher side of town, they have a lot of socializing, you know what I mean? Like everybody is out in the road talking to each other. And I'm like, I wish we had that. Because everybody's really social, and I like that. I like that community type thing. I'd imagine that people that live in cars would have that community.
Yeah. Something like
it's just like anybody. Some people do, some people don't.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So Alan, what type you mentioned you're stocked up on food and supplies right now. What primarily do you have in store? Is it like a lot of cans of baked beans, or like what are you running with right now?
So I'm a vegetarian, so I don't eat meat.
Right.
So I eat a lot of grains, beans, nuts, soup, veggies. But all of the dry goods are like rice, quinoa, amaranth, grains, wheat berries, lentils, tons of beans. Some dried beans, some canned canned soups, and then just like Cliff bars and Pro bars and other bars and snacks and chips.
Oh yeah.
Cauliflower.
Sorry,
Cauliflower? Do you eat cauliflower?
I do eat cauliflower. I think
Nice.
cauliflower's
So
great.
You sound vegan, actually. Like what you just listed was vegan food, wasn't it, Paul?
for the most part,
I mean, yeah, all the grains are vegan. I do eat cheese. I eat pizza. I love pizza.
that's
Oh
fair.
yeah.
But I mean, like right now, I'm not eating pizza.
Right.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, hard cheese like Parmesan or cheddar lasts quite a while.
It's true.
Do you
So-
have a refrigeration in your van?
I just have a cooler, and
Oh,
that's
gotcha.
good enough for me.
What are your cooking methods?
So I have a 2-burner Coleman stove, which is just like any stovetop, really. And then I have a small camping stove if I don't want to get out all the pots and pans and stuff. Just want to like heat up some tea or some beans or soup or leftovers or whatever.
Oh, nice, nice.
I mean, it's good enough for me.
That's
Yeah.
right. So Alan, I
So
wonder what
guess-
your
oh.
day-to-day life kind of looks like scheduling wise. Like what do you find yourself, doing throughout the day?
Are you talking about now or before I lost my job?
Either or. I mean, whichever is
Oh,
easiest.
sure.
I was thinking more now, but either way.
Yeah, sure. So right now, I'm actually pretty close to Yosemite National Park. So I wake up pretty early. I'm kind of on the sun schedule right now. When sun comes up, I'm up. When sun goes down, I'm sleeping.
Right.
Um, so I'm usually up fairly early, and my girlfriend and I both hike a lot and climb a lot. So we usually have a schedule of like big objectives that we want to do or big climbs or hikes that we want to try and get done. So we'll plan those early in the day so that we have all day to get stuff done. And then if we have time left over and we finish whatever we wanted to do a bit early, we have like secondary activities that we can do. But usually we'll take lunch with us, snacks, water, go out and do whatever, and then come back and hang out for a bit, and then either go for a hike or work on any of the other projects that we have at the moment.
Climbing can be pretty
Uh,
expensive. Do you like boulder
that-
or what?
Sure. So we do boulder, least expensive
Yeah.
and easiest form of climbing to get into, but we both have ropes and trad gear and harnesses,
Oh.
helmets.
Oh,
Oh.
nice.
So
Wait,
yeah, I mean we
So you
we
lead
like
climb
to-
up the wall?
Yeah, so we like to do multi-pitch climbing, which is like, bigger walls, like, 200-foot plus climbs. So yeah, I mean it's not cheap to get into, but
Mhm.
space it out, it's pretty inexpensive. And I think unlike some sports or some activities where there's like a monthly recurring cost to do something, once you have all of the gear, it's kind of free, so you don't have to upkeep anything.
Dude, I wish I lived near an outdoor wall because I have to pay for a membership to climb. And
Yeah,
that'll
I mean-
milk your money.
Yeah, my partner was a climbing guide, and
Mhm.
she worked at a gym and took people outside and did all that type of stuff. So like I've definitely climbed in gyms, and it's a great way to train, but climbing outside is totally free. For the
Right.
most, like some areas it costs to go to or a day pass or whatever, but it's generally pretty inexpensive.
You mentioned did you like climbed I mean you hiked the Appalachian Trail or some trail, right? Tell us about your trail hiking. Your
Um,
backpacking.
Sure. So I hiked the PCT, which is the Pacific Crest Trail. There are three trails that make up the Triple Crown, which are kind of the most well known of the 12 national scenic trails that were made by the United States government and designated as such. So the PCT on the West Coast goes from the Mexican border in California up to the U.S.-Canadian border in Washington. And then there's the CDT, which runs through the Continental Divide. And then there's the Appalachian Trail, which is on the East Coast. So I hiked the PCT last year. And that was about a total of 2,680 miles.
Oh,
And that
wow.
the hiking time was about 4.5 months, I would say. I don't know exactly how many days I took, but somewhere around there.
How expensive was it?
That's a great question, and there are a couple different. Obviously, everybody's going to spend a different amount of money to do this. Some people do it super cheap, and other people, whenever they go into town, they like get a couple meals, get some beers, stay at hotels, hang out for a couple days. So if like really, you're only spending money in town. So when you're hiking, you're not spending any money. So it kind of depends on how long and what you do when you go into town. Personally, I didn't want to spend that much money if I didn't have to. And when I did spend money, I wanted it to be on things that to me were really important. So that was like, a good meal here and there. But I didn't get a like fancy meal every single town I went into.
Right. Did you ever like forage for food or anything?
I never foraged to like sustain myself, but there are so many berries in the Pacific Northwest. There's blueberries, blackberries, huckleberries, salmonberries, thimbleberries. So there's a lot of different plants that you learn about that you can eat, and if you pass them on the trail, you start picking them and eating them. But
Right.
I don't know of anybody who has hiked the whole trail just by foraging. I don't
That
know
would
if
be impressive.
it would be very impressive.
Right.
But yeah, it was a fantastic experience, and anybody who's like really interested in it, I would recommend going for it. But I would also make sure you're prepared and you know what you're getting into.
Yeah, I actually like that is a dream of mine, but I really want to like hike a really long trail. The
Oh,
only
yeah.
thing is I'm not like really I'm not my knowledge is kind of limited on that kind of thing, so
Sure.
I need to learn more about that. But yeah, that is like one thing I want to do in life, and I've been told that's like really expensive before, and maybe like what I mean. But I mean, the fact that you did it and you're like, oh yeah, you can, what I mean, it's kind of up to you how much you spend. I think I have the willpower to like spend only a little bit of money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think if somebody's interested in hiking it, like there's so much information out there about the trail and how much it costs.
Hmm.
But if you do your research ahead of time and you know like what your budget is and you set yourself an appropriate budget of a couple $1,000s as like, with some wiggle room in there, I think, you can definitely hike the trail on $3,000.
So I guess
Yeah.
for my next question, it kind of ties back to everything you've said so far, and that would
Yeah,
be
sure.
how safe do you feel both in your van and hiking slash climbing? Like, how safe is your day-to-day life, would you say?
Sure. So I guess I could interpret that in two different ways. Safe in terms of like how safe are the activities that I'm doing, or how safe are the places I'm in regards to other people.
Yeah, both of those.
Sure. So in general, obviously climbing is a riskier activity than backpacking in my opinion. Um, Really, the PCT is like a sidewalk in the woods. It's a
Uh,
very well-traveled trail. If you're hiking it in a normal year, there's a ton of people, so it's pretty hard to get lost. If you do get injured, and you are on the trails, somebody will come up within 30 minutes. You'll see somebody else.
right.
Climbing, if shit goes wrong, and you break an arm or something, you know, it could be a pain in the butt to get search and rescue out to you, but search and rescue does exist. So in general, I think it's no more risky than an average person's day, I would say. You know, like there's some jobs I think are way more dangerous than backpacking or climbing.
Crab fishing.
Yeah, I mean, Alaskan crab fishing's no joke.
Well,
But I
and pizza driving. Pizza driving super dangerous, actually.
Oh yeah.
I think something that people don't necessarily think about is that even if you're working a desk job and the activity of sitting at your desk isn't that dangerous, it's also not that healthy for you. Like sitting all
Right.
is good for you. So that
Right.
in some ways is a dangerous thing.
Right.
So
Kind
how
of.
you define
Okay.
a dangerous activity is pretty subjective.
Right. So kind of writing off, you mentioned office job. I know you said before that you were in an advertising agency, that you felt
Yeah.
the need to leave that. Do you want to kind of go into more some of the reasons behind that? What motivated your decision?
Yeah, no problem. So I was working at an animation company, videos for advertising.
You're cutting out a little bit.
And
Hold up.
my
That might be me.
background is in. Can you hear me better?
Yeah. It
Hello?
was just glitching out
Oh,
for a
okay.
second.
Yeah, try again. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. So my background is in design and illustration. I studied graphic design and illustration in college and graduated from a school with a degree in that field. And I got a job from an internship right out of school and was there on and off for like 3 years, 3.5 years. I worked on the last season of Portlandia, the television show,
Oh, no
Oh,
kidding.
really?
as a
Show.
graphic designer. And it was fun, but both of those fields were never things that I really cared about. You know, like they're interesting and I guess to me it was like it's a job.
Right.
And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like you're sitting at a desk making something to make somebody else a lot of money.
Right.
And that always just kind of bothered me. It's like you see the budgets for these projects and then you see what other people are getting paid who are actually making it happen. It's kind of infuriating.
Right.
And it's, you know, I don't know any job per se that would rectify that that discrepancy in my mind, but it just like I was going backpacking on the weekends and on holiday vacation time to prepare for the PCT a year before. And at some point I realized that I was never unhappy about asking for time off to go backpacking or going hiking, but there were days when I agreed to stay on the weekend or work overtime or work into the night. And I wasn't happy about it. Like I was kind of pissed.
Right.
I've never regretted taking time off to go see places. And at a certain point I was just like, you know, I'm young, I'm physically capable, I'm in great shape. So if I have the ability and I've saved up the money, which is why I moved into my Camry, to save up an assload of money so that I wouldn't be struggling if I couldn't get a job for 6 months after I got back.
Right.
I was like, now's the time because you could get hit by a car tomorrow and your chance is over. And, you know, I was talking to my parents a couple days ago and I told them, you know, like I'm not trying to get coronavirus or, you know, get sick and die. But I told them, I was like, you know, if I did get really sick and I was in a hospital, I would have the memories from that hike to keep me happy. And that's nobody can take away from me. You know, you can take away everything I have, but you can't take away my experiences. And that was an experience that I really wanted to have, and I'm really happy I did it. So
That's a fair point.
Kind of the impetus for that trip, and I've gone on a lot of other trips since then, and I have a lot of other trips planned that I want to do.
That's right.
Nice. So
Very
I
cool.
have one question that ties back to something you just said, and that's how do you manage, any possible medical expenses with no current income?
That is a fantastic question. So I'm currently 25. I'm going to be turning 26 really soon. So my health insurance is on the chopping block to
Right.
way.
Oh yeah.
So I've looked into different public health plans, different travelers insurance, but I haven't found one that I like the most. But that is something that I honestly don't have a great answer to right now. But if something serious did come up, like I do have health insurance and I do have a decent amount saved, so I could probably get by okay. But
Oh, nice, nice.
yeah, I mean, the current state of affairs for American health insurance is pretty terrible.
No kidding.
I have to agree with you there. So, one thing, oh, Josh, do
No,
you
you
want
can
to
go
say
ahead,
something?
Paul. You can go ahead, Paul.
Okay. One thing that kind of ties back to, what you were saying about America is has living in your van impacted your political views at all?
That's a good question. And I guess I've never thought about it in those terms, but I guess it makes me I guess it really like with doing a long distance hike and then like living in a car, it really gives you a different perspective on things, and it really makes me kind of disappointed that our government tries to look one way and in reality does something totally different. So I think it's just gone to show me how unfair our fair government really is. And like everybody has different political views, and in my mind it's kind of like religion. Like, you don't tell me what to do, I don't tell you what to do, and we're all happy. It's like I don't really care
Definitely.
what you do as long as you're not killing me or making me do it. So like I don't care if you like Trump, you don't like Trump, just don't tell me what to think. And because I want to make up my own mind and do my own research. But like living in a car and hiking the PCT, like I definitely was, helped out from people who had totally different beliefs than me and grew up in a totally different way of life. But they were still super friendly to me. And I think in a way a lot of media represents different parts of this country and different interactions among people, they kind of miss out on a big part of our country that is really nice to each other, regardless of what they believe. So
Right.
I think politics is just a way of dividing people, and it's not doing any favors to anybody.
What was the coolest thing that happened to you on the trail?
That happened to me,
Or that you witnessed or whatever,
Sure. I mean, obviously, you see a lot of really incredible places that you can only get to by walking. So that's, a very enjoyable part of the trip, which people expect. But the thing that people don't necessarily talk about as much or don't know about as much is the people that you meet while you hike. And, you'll meet people in their 60s and 70s, and I met a family of 5 who was hiking the whole thing, and the youngest person was like 12. So it's an incredible array of people that you get to meet and talk to from all different countries. People come from all over the world to hike the PCT. And it also, you get to see the kindness of strangers. Like there was one day when I was hiking through the area near South Lake Tahoe, which is near Lake Aloha in the Desolation Wilderness. And we were going into town, and we had no idea where we were staying that night. I was with another guy. His trail name was E.T. And we found like a pin board on the trailhead map thing where we got off trail to come into town, and there was a list of people who you could call that would host you for the night. So I took a picture of it, and as we were in town, like buying food at the grocery store, I just started calling people and leaving messages because, it's like, I don't know where I'm staying tonight and I need to find somewhere before the sun goes down. So I called and left a message to this one guy. His name was Rudy, and he was probably in his late 60s, early 70s. And he gave me a call back and said, "Hey, I'll meet you here at 8:00. You can stay with me tonight." And we went to his house and he made us dinner. We had ice cream. We watched movies. We played with his cats. He did our laundry. And it was just like, we have no idea who this guy is. And he doesn't know who we are. He doesn't know that we're not some terrible people, which I don't think we are. But,
right.
He just let total strangers into his house and was so kind and, just had a great time talking to us and hearing about our experience. And we got to learn about him. And it's those things that I don't think I'll ever forget.
Right.
Were you nervous that you would the person that took you in would kill you while you were in bed or whatever, eat you?
Honestly, that never crossed my mind because obviously I'm coming to that from a white male perspective, and somebody who's a petite female or a person of color might come from that from a different perspective. So I can't speak to those experiences. But if you're trying to get a ride, people hitchhike into town all the time on the PCT, and usually the people that pick you up either know exactly what you're doing or have a family member or a friend who is currently hiking or has hiked in the past. So they know what you're doing, and they want to help. But I've heard stories of people that saw somebody pull over for them and they didn't feel comfortable and they just said, "Hey, sorry, I have someone else is coming to get me in a couple minutes," and they just don't get in. So nobody's going to make you get into a car or go into a house that you don't want to. So you have that freedom to leave if you're not comfortable.
It reminds me of my teacher once told me that her brother was hiking on the trail. I don't know which one it was, but he was hiking and he was hitchhiking with a stranger. And what happens is the person thought that they were God. So what happens is they start driving off a mountain through trees and crap, and then they crash into they crashed into a tree. And this guy's the only guy who survived the whole thing. And I'm like, oh my God. I don't know if I want to get in a car with a stranger, but I have a feeling that 90% of them would probably be great. But I do not want to be in the car with the guy who thinks he's God or Jesus or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's statistically, it'll probably follow a bell curve distribution.
Right.
Average ride is probably totally fine, and then you get that 0.1% that's just totally bonkers. But the odds of that are pretty slim, I think. So.
Right. So, Alan, I wonder, considering right now, you're living out of a van, you have you're doing all these amazing liminal experiences, going on hikes and stuff. What do you envision your future looking like? Do you imagine doing this for a long period of time? Do you imagine doing this till money runs out? What's your, I guess, plan in that sort of sense?
Sure. So originally, after I lost my job, I was like, okay, looking for work online, and I can freelance, do jobs online if I need to. but I'm definitely in a position where I don't need to if I don't want to.
Nice.
And I talked to my parents and I was like, hey, like if you guys ever need help or you don't want to go to a store or go out in public and you need somebody to get groceries for you, like let me know and I'll be happy to come down and help you guys out. And at first they were like, no, we don't want you to come home. Like we don't want you around. 'Cause they didn't want me to get them sick. And
right.
because like nobody really knew what this thing was. So they were kind of freaked. And,
Right.
now it's to the point where like, yeah, I could come home if I wanted to. And, like there would be some precautions to make sure that like we're all staying safe and healthy. Because they're like, like they're not super young. And my dad and my mom just retired like last year. And so they were going to be traveling a lot and they kind of got screwed. So they're like kind of pissed at the whole thing, but there's nothing they can really do about it. So I might end up at home. But in terms of doing this long term, I mean, who knows? It would be nice. But, like variety is the spice of life, but you don't want to be over seasoned either. So, like it's like traveling forever at some point is going to get old. And, like it's like as fun as it sounds and is sometimes, it's like it's also a lot of work and it's tiring to be moving all the time. Like figure out where you're going to get, your water and your food and how you're going to do laundry and all the random shit that nobody ever talks about. So, I don't know what the future holds, but I'm also not too worried about it because what's the point of worrying? It's not going to get you.
There you go. That's right.
How do you do your laundry? That's actually a good question. How do you do your laundry?
Actually, just before I drove down here to get some internet, I was doing laundry.
There you go.
There was like a water fill up station kind of like on this road, and my girlfriend and I set up our cars, and we I have some like spare like paracord or like just random line lying around, and we tied clotheslines between our cars, and we emptied out some of our bins that we store stuff in and filled them up with water and just hand washed and set them out to dry and just kind of hung out until they were done.
Oh, nice. So,
I mean, there are laundromats, but we didn't really want to go in.
Oh,
right.
Nice. Yeah, one other question is how do you keep yourself hygienic? Yeah, without a shower directly.
So that's definitely been like a learning curve, and normally in town when all of this isn't going on, like I had a climbing gym membership and I would use the shower there, and that was pretty easy to stay very clean. But out here you definitely get dirty a lot faster, especially if you're hiking and doing stuff all day. But I got these like this garden sprayer, and it's meant for like pesticides and spraying your lawn, but we just use it for water, and it's just like a pressurized spray bottle thing that has a hose and like a kind of like a shower head attachment on one end, and you just pump it up a few times and turn it on, and it's like a little shower. So that's how we are if we're like parked somewhere. But we'll go swimming in a lake or in a river, or take a little nature bath.
So Alan, you mentioned kind of that learning curve of like figuring out the kind of the finer details of living in a van. I wonder, kind of generally, how long did it take to get to a point where you felt pretty confident in your ability to, handle all the little nuances of that?
In a city, like when I was in Portland, it probably took like a month.
Okay.
To get really comfortable. Like I know where I'm gonna park. I know I'm not gonna get bothered. I know how I'm gonna do food and like internet and showers, Wi-Fi, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Out here, it's pretty simple. It just took a few days.
Right.
But I've also been in and out of my car a lot, so it's not that complicated for me at this point. And I guess the other thing that I've learned from hiking and from living in a van is that like it all works out at some point. Like it'll work out. It's like it's not over till it's over, you know.
Right.
You know, like coming down here, like I didn't know there was going to be a water fill up station. I didn't know there was going to be free Wi-Fi outside of this building, but there's Wi-Fi everywhere. There's water everywhere. You find it if you look. So I think like for the most part, you know, like you'll find a way to make things happen if you're determined and if you need to.
You mentioned that you also take photography. What is that all about? Like, what is that like?
Sure. So I grew up. My dad's really into photography. He was developing his own rolls of film in college. So when I got my first camera, which was a Nikon DSLR, it was like an old, you know, this is like way back when. He told me, he said, I'm only going to give this to you if you shoot on manual because I don't want you using the auto function. So I learned, you know, how aperture affects the exposure and depth of field and how shutter speed and ISO play into all of that. And then I got a Minolta SRT 101 and an Olympus OM1, which are two classic film cameras. Shot on those for quite a while. And then after that, I was at a high school reunion on the East Coast, which is where I went to high school. And my friend's dad had a stereo realist, which is a 3D film camera. And it shoots on slide film, and the camera has 3 lenses. And it basically takes pictures. You can look up a picture if this is too confusing. It takes 2 pictures at once, and the lenses are the same distance apart as your eyes, which enables the photos to have a slightly different perspective so that when you look at them at the same time, it gives you a 3D image, and that phenomenon is called a parallax. It's like a different perspective. So if you've ever seen like an animated GIF where it like flickers back and forth and looks 3D, that's kind of what the camera does. So I was hooked. I was like, this is sweet. And so I bought the camera, I found the viewer, I bought slide film, I found a place to get it developed in Portland, and I ended up manufacturing all of my own slide mounts because they're impossible. Like nobody makes them anymore. And you can occasionally find them on eBay, but they're really expensive, and I just thought it would be easier to make my own. So I ended up laser cutting, you know, like 500 or 600 of them.
Oh, no kidding.
I bet you have gotten like crazy photos with like all the places you've been. Hello? Wait, am I cut out? I don't know.
Oh no,
You guys hear me?
We heard
okay.
you.
I can hear you, Josh. Yeah.
All right, rad. I wasn't
Alan, you
sure.
still with us?
Oh.
Hello?
Alan's Wi-Fi might have cut out.
Oh no.
All right,
Oh, I think I just saw movement from Alan. Alan, are you there?
I was about to say, like his connection was surprisingly strong for being in a van on some Wi-Fi, some public Wi-Fi. I was pretty impressed.
Well, if it takes him a minute, we should probably just like kind of address the people at home, because we haven't really talked to. You know, I don't know. I just feel like this episode has been way better than the last one.
Oh, for sure.
I feel that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna tell the people at home that you know, I was in a tubing accident the day of the first episode, and we were like really rushed and hurried. That's why it kind of came across as awkward. But
no, you know, it's a whole thing's a learning curve too. Like being able, we're using, you know, figuring out this sort of stuff. Like I think we don't have to make excuses. Although I was also on 40 minutes of sleep. I'll also throw that out there for the first episode.
Yeah, we were all in agony. Don't judge us, okay?
Right.
I may be wrong, but I think this was your first, or that was your first podcast ever, Josh, and it was mine also.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah. Then if by any means by those standards we kicked some serious butt. Like that was that was really well.
And now
I
we're
felt bad.
professional.
I felt bad for the guest because he was
Oh,
really
yeah,
great.
he just cut out. Alan just cut out. Yeah.
Uh-oh. Well, dang, I
guess-
mean, I kind of wanted to, like, I still had things I wanted to talk to him about. Like, he sounded just like
Right.
Kurt Cobain. Like, he was just, did you hear his voice? It sounded like we were talking to Kurt Cobain. And I wanted to tell him, I didn't know how to bring that in.
Right. No, that guy was very smart dude too. Like his vocabulary was incredible. Like he's a very well educated dude, and all that cool
Yeah,
stuff he's doing. Like
like,
Yeah,
I
well-
wanted to tell him, like, oh my gosh, he has no idea. But, like,
Oh wait, he's
the
back.
things he was telling me.
we got him back.
Oh.
We got him back.
He's back. Hello? Alan, you there?
Oh, hello. Welcome back.
There we go.
Oh, hey, sorry about that.
No, you're good.
You're good. Where were we? I don't remember what we were talking about.
Photography.
That's
Oh,
it.
yeah, photography.
Somebody was saying pictures. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
All right. Yeah.
So
Dang,
I think
what-
the question was something about Josh. I think you were asking if what cool photos he's taken or something about during his travels. What was it again?
Yep.
Was that it, Josh?
It was essentially that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have a terrible memory.
As do I. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've seen some good photos from different places, you know, cities, landscapes, people. But like they're really hard to share because at least the 3D photos, because you have to be there's no real good way to digitize them.
Right.
I don't know how familiar you all are with slide film, but normal film gives you a negative when you develop it. So it's like an inverted image of what the actual thing is, but slide film gives you a positive. So it gives you what the actual thing looks like. So when you look at the images, you're seeing them illuminated from the back. And the big difference between a photo that's, say, printed and slide film is that you're looking at two different color spectrums. Print is CMYK, which is a subtractive type of imagery, meaning that when you add all the colors together, they make black. When you're looking at an illuminated slide, you're looking at the RGB spectrum, which is an additive. So when all the colors go together, they make white, which is like white light, you know, kind of like the Pink Floyd album cover with the little prism.
Oh, Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah, so it's just totally different, and it looks a lot richer, in my opinion, a lot more like luminous and vibrant. So there isn't really a good way of getting the same effect on a computer screen or on paper.
That's interesting.
So
This is a little bit off topic, but are you a fan of rock and roll?
I mean, like I like all kinds of music.
What's your favorite kind of music?
That's a great question. I would like to say, as I'm sure you've heard a lot, you know, like my tastes are pretty varied.
Mhm.
Like as far as rock and roll is concerned, like I grew up listening to Pink Floyd on my dad's record player.
Oh,
You know, like I grew up listening to Led Zeppelin and Fish and REM and all that type of stuff.
yeah, you should try Rush. They're a lot like Pink. They're really good.
Sure.
Mhm.
I also grew up playing the piano. My mom made me play the piano. So I have a pretty big background of classical music and jazz. So I really like those two genres of music.
Oh, no kidding.
And
Are you
Yeah.
are you familiar with Nirvana?
yeah, of course.
Dude, your voice is just like Kurt Cobain.
I've never heard that before, but thanks.
You're welcome. I love your voice. It's just like Kurt Cobain.
I appreciate
I
that.
can hear it. No, I can hear it.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, music's great.
For sure.
I think we gotta wrap up, but I just wanted to tell you that you've been really great. You know, we liked having you on, and like you have no idea, but you are like really cool. Like the things that you tell me about are things that I want to do. You know what I mean?
Well, hopefully somebody is inspired to try something that they haven't done before.
Yeah, definitely. You've inspired me. Like I am like I wanted to do a lot of things that you tell me about, but now I really want to do it. You know?
Yeah.
That's right. If you inspire the host, that's double points right there. So good job.
Sweet. I love double points.
That's right.
Well, and then we're gonna have like 1 billion viewers on YouTube, and all of them are gonna be inspired probably. So
that's right.
That's
a lot of points you can bring to the bank there.
Nice.
By episode like 50, everybody's gonna be in a Camry. Like we're all gonna be recording from a Camry.
I really hope not. Not as fun as it sounds.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I know this is like, you know, a podcast where you interview the guests, but like, on me asking like what you guys do or who you are.
Oh
yeah, we got time for that real quick.
Yeah.
I guess you can go first, Andrew, because you're the most interesting.
No, I appreciate that. I don't know if that's the case, but I'll take it. Yeah. So right now, I'm going to college. Currently, I have a part-time radio show that I do through the university.
Oh, cool.
On the side, I've been doing a couple of podcasts like the one here with Josh and Paul, and then I have another one with another friend of mine, and I'm planning to do some more. It's kind of been a lot of recently been exploring different perspectives, talking with people, kind of seeing what they care about, you know, kind of what the different paths that people take, and ultimately like what motivates that. And so it's been a pretty interesting journey. I've gotten some cool insights and different perspectives that I hadn't considered. So I've been kind of exploring that avenue of life for the time being. But gosh, living in a car, maybe I'm inspired also to join the car lifestyle, because that sounds sick too.
Yeah, you know, if you want to do it, do it. If you don't, then don't.
That's right. Fair enough, right?
Good, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, do what you want. But
right.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing.
That's sure thing.
Awesome that, you know, like while you're still in college, you're like exploring all of these different ways of life, and not just sucked into like
exactly
kids' house mortgage.
Right, I feel that. All right, do you want to go ahead, Paul?
Oh, sure. So in my day-to-day life, I currently volunteer for political campaigns. I do a lot of gaming. I have my own YouTube channel. Let's see.
Shout it out, Paul.
All right, Melee Miller. That's the name of the YouTube channel. I make comedy/serious YouTube videos on mostly video games. I had an interview with one of the voice actors for the Beyblade TV show, and that was very interesting. But
Cool.
yeah, I love learning things. I love meeting people. I'm not the greatest at conversation, but I love listening to other people. Yeah, like I said, a lot of gaming. Recently got this game, Ring Fit Adventure. Highly recommend that if you want to stay active while playing video games.
Okay.
Yeah. I think overall that about covers it. My life isn't terribly interesting right now. Yeah, I'm a senior in high school right now.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
I don't know about me. I'm a junior in high school right now, and
okay.
I'm in a band. I like art. I just have a bunch of different hobbies. I like rock climbing. I love the outdoors. I'd spend all day, like I'm always at the river, you know. I don't know. I'm excited about life. I guess that's the way you could call me or whatever. You know.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, that's awesome.
Mhm.
All right, Alan, thank you for joining us. I appreciate.
Yeah, thank you.
We all
so
appreciate
much.
you taking the time, especially considering you have to find public Wi-Fi to do it. So.
Oh yeah, no problem. It gives me something to do. Like I'm meet new people, talk to people, hear other people's stories. So.
That's the vibe.
Yeah, if you ever want to come on again, you can. Like you've been great, man. Really great.
Yeah, sure. I'm always down.
That.
Awesome.
All right, should
Yeah,
we do our
thank you
sign outs,
for-
Josh?
for having me and messaging me.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
I don't know like how I guess we just all go goodbye or whatever, right? Like goodbye everybody.
Just reiterate the.
Hey, this is
reiterate
your
the
show,
title
not
show.
mine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Josh, you can just reiterate
Okay,
the show title. We gotta get that on the tail
alright.
end too.
The Extraordinary Shoe Store podcast, and we just walked a mile in the extraordinary shoes of a really cool guy who, he's a backpacker, explorer, very fun time. Thank you everybody for listening. Thank you everybody for coming on. Thank you. Thank you. Good time. Good. Yay.
That's
All right.
right.
All right. That was it.
Celebration of life. There we go.
Cool.
All right, cool.
All right. Booyah. Rat.